I'm Camden Walker for CapitalWeatherGang.com. Thanks so much for tuning in. I've got a lot to tell you about, starting with some rain showers on Monday, some wind moving in Tuesday, Wednesday, and then some warmth for Thursday and Friday. Latest forecast at CWG.news/latest. That's my PM update there for you, helping you kind of get perspective that it's going to be a little bit chilly, a little bit raw at times with some rain that sticks around for much of tonight and much of tomorrow as well. Let me see if I can get radar pulled up for you. The region has switched over to mainly rain. As you can see here, there is a little bit of mix, perhaps west of town and higher elevations. Generally, accumulations today stayed at elevations above 1,500 feet. Thanks so much for tuning in, Peter, and good evening, David and Kristen. Happy Soggy Sunday to you as well. Good evening, David, indeed. So hopefully you have an umbrella tonight and into tomorrow. Just it's a good call with these showers sticking around, and we could even see, as this precipitation moves away, a couple of snow showers, especially northeast of town, maybe Monday night into very early Tuesday. But this is our main rain chance this week. It's replaced. Well, let's first tell you that it's a pretty light rain. Even if we do see one more precipitation chance by the time you talk to me for next Sunday's weekly Sunday Sunset Chat, it's pretty light this week. As you can see here, not even really a half inch for most of us along and west of I-95. East of I-95, that's where the coastal low pressure system that's heading toward New England later tomorrow into Tuesday. That's where a precipitation shield kind of on the backside of that low pressure system that's kind of moving away from us and up the coast. A little bit more precipitation sticking around come later tomorrow into early Tuesday perhaps. Kind of favorite areas for precipitation are east, well east of town, closer to the Atlantic shore. So not terrible because we do need some rain. It's kind of middling. We don't have too much to talk about, but hey, there's no flooding concerns, no drought concerns. It's better to get a little bit of precipitation than none. Hey, Paul, I'm glad you got some snow, and even if it's not sticking, you'll take it. That's great to hear. In my PM update at CWG.news/latest, I did cover some awesome tweets I saw with some snowflakes spotted throughout the region. The other story this week is the wind. Tuesday, Wednesday look pretty darn blustery. We could see some wind gusts, 50, 55 miles per hour. We're going to need to watch for patchy outages, power outages, and maybe a couple instances of wind damage Tuesday and Wednesday. The National Weather Service, CapitalWeatherGang.com, we will all make sure you have at least 2 weather sources to keep you posted on Tuesday into Wednesday. We could see some impacts from these winds, which are expected to move in by midday Tuesday and last into at least mid-afternoon on Wednesday. Again, gusts 50, 55 miles per hour can't be ruled out. Can't rule out some wind damage and some power outages in the region, especially at higher elevations, especially if you happen to have trees near those power lines. We'll just have to watch it. Luckily, not too many leaves on the trees just yet, so that is some good news for the power outages anyway, and trees shouldn't completely en masse come down from these wind levels on Tuesday, Wednesday, but it bears watching. I'm Camden Walker for CapitalWeatherGang.com. Thanks so much for joining me. I'll catch up on questions and comments I see coming in next. Make sure you check out CWG.news/DST by Justin Greiser, letting you know just when we will get the same kind of clock, similar times of the day for our sunrise and sunset. It's going to take a little bit of time. If you're used to what we just had as we sprung forward 1 hour, we'll get there again. But see all of his details and how to manage perhaps some of the daylight as we go into daylight time now. I hope you sprung forward an hour, and that's why you're now talking to me. After 7 p.m., we have, boom, gone over an hour in advance since you last talked to me last Sunday. Evening light lovers are probably somewhat rejoicing at this time, but I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Make sure you follow us on all 3 of our social media channels there. Hello from Leesburg, Vicky. Appreciate you tuning in. Ruth and Lisa, happy Oscars weekend. I hope you enjoy it. Preston, snow is beautiful. I'm glad you're enjoying it. Wind advisory or high wind watches for Tuesday, Wednesday, not in place just yet, David, but as we get into very late tonight and maybe even early tomorrow, We'll see if the National Weather Service issues anything along those lines. At least a special weather statement, I think, is coming. It's been on their radar for a couple days now, the high winds for Tuesday into Wednesday. Again, wind gusts 50 to 55 miles per hour cannot be ruled out. That's what we're talking about as a kind of story for Tuesday and Wednesday this week after the rains move out on tomorrow, Monday. Charlene, light snow in the morning, a snow an hour ago, hopefully overnight snow too there in Glenville, Pennsylvania. You do have colder air there in Pennsylvania. You should see a little bit higher chance for a dusting or a coating perhaps. Paul, next Saturday is looking warm, and indeed you've got Alexandria plans. I can't rule out precipitation just yet, but once we get, let me show you a sneak preview of Saturday temperatures. Could still eke out one more warm day on Saturday. Look at that, 60, maybe let's say low, maybe mid 60s on Saturday, but our warmest day of the week is probably Friday. Mid 60s can't be ruled out. Sunniest spots south and east of town, maybe upper 60s. We'll keep you posted as we get closer to the end of the week, but that is bad news. Pollen sufferers. Yes, trees are behaving now in the low category for pollen concentrations, but if you suffer from any of those specific species, low pollen doesn't mean all that much to you. If juniper, elm, maple, pine, poplar are bothering you, even in low concentrations, you are probably still feeling it and still needing some of those allergy regimens like I do. So that is kind of the flip side of the coin of the warm weather coming up. It could exacerbate our pollen allergies. It could accelerate the cherry blossoms, but we still are thinking, let me put up our warmest day. Let's see, on Saturday, I think might be a decent day. There we go. Saturday might be a decent day to see cherry blossoms near peak. We're still sticking with kind of March 20 to 24. The CWG.news slash cherry, CWG.news slash blossoms. That has your latest there for you, gives you kind of our scenarios and what we're thinking with how the cherry blossoms will behave and interact in the regime of what is kind of near-term cooler temperatures and maybe by the end of the month warmer temperatures, maybe re-accelerating the stages of the cherry blossoms. Right now, stage 3 of 6, so they're halfway there to peak. But honestly, if it were me, this upcoming Saturday is warm enough. The cherry blossoms might reach stage 4 out of 6. I think it will become a nice walk around the tidal basin, even if they're not near peak, since they do sometimes accelerate quickly, stage 5 into 6. If we do get a warm day or two in the 70s to near 80 degrees, the peak can develop fast, but we will keep watching it at capitalweather.com. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm Camden Walker for capitalweathergang.com, and again, our warmest day of the week is likely on Friday, with mid, perhaps upper 60s possible, but on Saturday, the temperatures still stick around into nice regime, if I can say that properly. With Alexandria plans and maybe parades around St. Patrick's Day, it is looking like it should be pretty darn mild. Hello, Alex. Thanks so much for tuning in from YouTube. Paul will take it. Excellent. I'm glad you're liking that. Hello, Maria. Hello, Alex and David. Pollen count time. I know it is pollen season, and you are liking the later sunsets, Alex, thanks to daylight saving time. Indeed. We've got after 7 p.m. Sunday sunset chats from this point forward for at least until early October, I want to say. That's my quick math. Don't quote me on that. But right now we're past 7 o'clock, over an hour later, thanks to daylight time. And read all about daylight time at CWG.news/DST by Justin Greiser. He'll help you figure out how to manage the changes in sunrises and sunsets. Our watches will soon match what we just had in the sunset and sunrise categories. So just give a little bit of time. If you were missing kind of some of the changes that we just had, we will be, of course, adjusting in the coming week, but we do have expanded day length coming between sunrise and sunset. So just hang in there. If you liked where things were, we'll get there again. He explains all of that in his awesome charts and math there at CWG.news/DST. Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Make sure you're following us on all 3 of our social media channels. I'm Camden Walker. Anytime you need us at capitalweather.com, capitalweathergang.com. Both of those should work for you. We're there on the blog 24/7. And again, pollen is a story low at the moment, but tree species are getting numerous. They are putting out bunches of pollen, so if you see one you're sensitive to, you are still feeling it, even in low concentrations, even with our clouds, even with our cooler temperatures. And the warmest day this week, where we will probably feel another pollen plume coming on Friday, with temperatures at least into the mid-60s, perhaps upper 60s, sunniest spots maybe near 70 degrees. We'll keep you posted at CapitalWeatherGang.com as we get closer. The warmth on Saturday continues at least a little bit, maybe low, perhaps mid-60s. I think it's worth going to the tidal basin if you happen to be in town. Latest forecast for the blossoms at CWG.news/blossoms. We explain all of our rationale and how we are still sticking with kind of March 20th to 24th as our peak bloom phase for our forecast there. Now looking ahead, temperatures next week, next work week, this is kind of looking at least 8 days into the future. We could again have a little bit of cool air to contend with. This light blue shading indicates a slight probability that the atmosphere is leaning toward below average temperatures for next work week, and precipitation leaning above average for next work week as well. Maybe we can eke out a few flakes for you snow lovers who are getting a little bit impatient at this point in the snow season. March is coming to an end, and that is kind of when the last decent chances for accumulating snow are coming, but try and hang in there just maybe 1 week longer. Rainfall deficits in the region, not too bad, but patches in the yellow. The light yellow could use about 2 inches of rain for making up the deficit since January 1st. Darker yellows, that maybe requires about 4 inches of rain in the region for making up the hole in the rainfall deficit since January 1st, year to date to today. But the good news is low sun angle and not too much growing and pulling moisture out of the soil, low evapotranspiration rates. Overall, it's a decent time of year to have a rainfall deficit, not turning into drought anytime soon or quickly, thanks to this time of year behaving with lack of plant life and lack of hot, high sun in the sky. So as you can see, the yellows, light yellows in the mid-Atlantic, just very patchy, abnormally dry spots in the region. Florida has developed a drought. Part of lower Michigan there you can see in the light orange has started developing a patch of drought. The worst areas for droughts are remaining in the Great Plains, but as you can see, improvement there in California. We've kept you posted on the atmospheric rivers hitting California at CapitalWeatherGang.com. You can see almost at least weekly coverage of that. But the good news, silver lining, is with all the heavy rains and snows, they are putting a dent in their long-term droughts. All right, I'm Camden Walker for CapitalWeatherGang.com on the air another 7.5 minutes or so. Latest forecast at CWG.news/latest, my PM update. As you can see from the forecast graphic at a glance, we've got Monday, rain chances continuing, still chilly. Tuesday and Wednesday are drier, but windy, with wind gusts perhaps 50, 55 miles per hour. Can't be ruled out. And spotty power outages or even some wind damage, 1 or 2 places can be ruled out. Thursday could be calm and getting mild, and we should remain fairly calm on Friday, with some maybe a rain chance, slight rain chance moving back in the picture. But hey, nice and warm. If you are a mild and warm weather lover, it is going to get nice and comfortable for you at the end of the week. So that is some good news, and it should hang on into Saturday, as we had alluded to in these graphics earlier, which I'll recap in just a moment. Rains continuing tonight, with most of us just seeing rain, a couple of patches, especially north and west of town, seeing some snowflakes, especially above 1,500 feet. But overall, rain is the predominant precipitation type. Can't rule out snowflakes, snow showers, especially northeast of town, maybe late tomorrow night into early Tuesday, as a coastal low-pressure system pulls away from us and out to sea, but strengthens as it heads toward New England. There could be on the backside of it maybe some precipitation in the form of snow, mainly Baltimore and points northeast from there. Have a great evening, Ruth Elisa. Thanks so much for tuning in. Spring roller coaster, indeed, David. So far, just high wind, Kristen. No concern about tornadoes, just horizontal, straight line winds in a very 50 to 55 mile per hour fashion over widespread areas of the region, so no localized tornadoes are expected. All right, mild winter indeed, says Alex. Let's see, we've got Kevin. DCA records no more freezes until the autumn. I think Kevin's a little, I don't think growing season has begun just yet. We could still have one more freeze. April can still see some non-accumulating snowflakes and some freezes, so keep that in mind. Don't rush into growing season just yet. Here's the precipitation over the next 24-36 hours, generally ebbing, diminishing, maybe drying out by evening rush tomorrow. Then maybe some backside of the storm system in New England, throwing us a few flakes late Monday night to Tuesday, mainly northeast of town. That's a low chance, but just don't be surprised if you still see some non-accumulating flakes Monday night into early Tuesday. But generally, we're forecasting kind of winds behind the storm are the main issue for Tuesday into Wednesday behind the strengthening New England storm. Rain totals are modest this week, even if we do see more rain chances after Monday, maybe again on Friday. It's light, generally under a half inch for the region, but as you can see with the coastal areas, the eastern part of the region, that's where the coastal low, before it moves out to sea and up toward New England, could kind of keep a little more precipitation on hand on the eastern parts of the region. So this is, again, the 7-day forecast of accumulating rain by the time you talk to me next Sunday for our weekly Sunday sunset chat. All right, 5 more minutes or less. Let's see, I've got wind I want to highlight in this animation for Tuesday and Wednesday, just to keep that in kind of top of mind. That's kind of a main impact of our weather this week, Tuesday and Wednesday. Forecast wind gusts 50 to 55 miles per hour can't be ruled out. Spotty power outages, maybe some trees down here and there. Maybe a couple patches of wind damage as well. We'll keep an eye on this at capitalweatherking.com. It is definitely on the radar of the National Weather Service as well, which could issue a high wind watch or maybe at least a wind advisory for Tuesday into Wednesday. We'll keep you posted, of course. Here it is, our daylight getting longer and longer between sunrise and sunset. Now you're talking to me after 7 p.m. for our weekly Sunday Sunsets chats through the summer. We'll be getting later and later, at least through the summer solstice on June 21. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, simulcasting to you live and getting all your comments in all 3 of our channels. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm Camden Walker. Latest on daylight savings time at CWG.news/DST. Justin Greiser throws up awesome charts and data at you so that you can see just how daylight has shifted after our time change. And hopefully you'll have an okay time adjusting this upcoming next couple days into this work week as well. So more warmth is coming, and pollen could get a little out of hand later this week, perhaps. But for now, the clouds and cool weather have kept things pretty low in the tree category. But as you can see from all the pollinating tree species there, if you were sensitive to any of those, it doesn't matter, even in low concentrations perhaps, you could still be feeling some of the allergies this weekend as well. Now, let me move on to our warmest day to flag for you this week. It could be on Friday, mid-60s, perhaps near 70 degrees in the sunniest, warmest spots south of town. Again, pollen sufferers, be aware and ready that you'll need some special extra power for your allergy regimens on Friday, perhaps. But come Saturday, with warmth still perhaps hanging on at the low 60s, perhaps cherry blossom news right here at CWG.news/blossoms. We've got our forecast there for peak blossoms coming up. Even likely not quite peak blossom this weekend. I think it'll be warm enough, pleasant enough weather, near enough to the peak blossom, even if it's stage 4 of 6 for the cherry blossoms. I think it still might be worth your time to go around the tidal basin if you happen to be in town, so keep that in mind. All right, Maria, indeed, we have getting closer to the equinox for March. The coastal low, so far not going to be classified as a bomb cyclone, David, but that's a good question. We'll keep an eye on New England as those 2 low-pressure systems kind of get near each other and maybe spin around each other. So far, I don't think they're going to merge into a bomb cyclone, but it's worth watching. There's enough confidence question marks to keep an eye on that. You have a good one too, Ruth Elisa. Thanks so much for tuning in. And Kristen, I really enjoy spending time with you as well on Sunday evenings. And Charlene, you have a great St. Patrick's Day week as well. Thanks so much for tuning in. Looks like I have 1 more minute or so on the air. Let me show you temperatures next week and a look ahead at the longer range forecast. Leaning below average, slight probability of below average temperatures for next work week. Precipitation also leaning slight probability above average for next work week as well. So hey, we could eke out a few more snowflakes for you snow lovers. Stay tuned for details. Nothing worth mentioning on the horizon with definitive high confidence just yet. But rainfall deficit in the yellow, light yellow. Year to date, we could use 2 inches of rain to make up for the deficit from January 1 to today. And those darker yellow patches, Central Bay and up near Garrett County, we could stand to see 4 inches or so of rain to make up for that rainfall deficit in those parts of the region. But no drought to speak of in our mid-Atlantic region. Just a couple abnormally dry spots where 4 inches of rain or more could make up for the short-term deficits. But luckily, drought is pretty clear sailing east of the Mississippi River, with the exception of Florida and lower parts of Michigan. The main area of concern for drought considerations is the Great Plains and California. Look at that, whittling away at it with all these atmospheric rivers and high Sierra snowpack. They are doing much better in terms of drought. The silver lining to all their storminess has been adding to their water table, so that is some good news. All right, time for me to go. Camden Walker for CapitalWeatherGang.com signing off. See my latest forecast at CWG.news/latest. My PM update explains how we're going to stay chilly and raw with some rain chances through much of tomorrow afternoon, maybe drying out by evening rush. Snowflakes may be on the backside of the New England storm thrown at us Monday night, Tuesday morning, perhaps not accumulating, we don't think. It's going to be more conversational. Winds are the big story as that New England storm really gets going Tuesday into Wednesday. 50 to 55 mile per hour wind gusts could cause patchy power outages and wind damage. Thursday and Friday, we get a little warmer, a little calmer, with maybe another rain chance on Friday with a slight chance there. All right, thanks so much, Deidre. You're most welcome. David, you take care, and I will talk to you all next Sunday as we get toward our 7:30 time frame for our weekly Sunday Sunset Chats.